Now, we've had a fantastic week of football, really. The final stages of the two premier European competitions, the Champions League and the Europa League. The Champions League is being played out in Portugal and from quarterfinals onwards, and the Europa League in Germany. And we've seen some great matches and some surprising performances and results. And we're joined now by John Giles to discuss what we've seen. John, it's been a wonderful weekend for football lovers, weekend and indeed the latter half of last week. I'd like to start with the performance of Bayern Munich. I mean, they beat Barcelona 8-2, which is a stunning result. It's the worst defeat Barcelona have experienced since 1946, I believe. And it is finally the end of a glorious era for that club. If there was any doubt, the end has been coming for a while. But what did it tell us about Bayern Munich for a start?
Well, they were brilliant, Damon, and I'm just looking at the coach, Hansi Flick, isn't that his name?
Hansi Flick, yeah, he came in around last December, halfway through the season.
Well, he's rejuvenated, Damon. I'm being very posh now, in my opinion. Bayern Munich. I mean, Bayern Munich always had good players, as we know.
Yes.
And it happens when they're getting it for a long time and you're successful. It's time to take it a bit easy. This guy has really come in and put them back into a situation where they're all working harder than they've ever done before. Intensity, as they call it now, is brilliant. And I think this guy, he's obviously the guy that's come in and has done it for them. And it's like a breath of fresh air to them, Eamon. Unfortunately, the breath of fresh air didn't do any good for a sagging Barcelona.
Yeah, and one of the first things Hansi Flick did was to bring back Thomas Müller into the Bayern team. He'd been dropped by the previous coach, and we've seen Müller over the years, John. He's a very unusual looking athlete for football. He's big, tall, gangly fella, doesn't really have a position. He scored 2 goals the other night. He's a really good player has been for Bayern and indeed for Germany over the years. So a rejuvenated Thomas Müller is a good thing.
It's great, Eamon. I thought he was finished, to be honest.
Yes.
In the last year or two, I thought he was past it. But that's what a new manager does. We see, you don't know what's going on with the old manager. He might have said to Müller, "Look, I'm sorry, you've had it now," and somebody comes in and does what he does, and that's what great managers do.
Yeah.
And a new Müller is like signing a new £150 million player, Eamon.
Yes, absolutely.
As we know.
Yeah.
So it's he's done a big job. He really, really. I was very impressed. I saw them before the other night in another match, and they were very good. But I thought actually during the against Spurs, Eamon, when we saw them twice,
beat them 7-2 in London, and beat Chelsea 3-0 at Stamford Bridge as well.
Yeah. So they I didn't know the new manager then. I didn't know much about them, but having seen them then, I thought, God, they're very good. But they've kept it up. It certainly wasn't a fluke. What they did to Barcelona, which is sad in many ways, particularly from Messi's point of view and some of the great players, but they absolutely trounced them, Eamon. Their attitude was great, as you would expect from champions. And poor Barcelona, Eamon, I think they've had their best days with this particular team anyway.
Yeah, and we should also mention, before we get to Barca, Lewandowski, who is the most prolific striker at the top level now in the world. He's had a fantastic season. He scored 37 goals, and he is a real leader of that forward line. Strong, quick, and deadly if the chance falls to him.
Yeah, well, he's getting on a bit now. Well, he's a veteran now, Eamon. But again, rejuvenated by the manager coming in, and there's a spark in his step, is that the right word, to do what needs to be done. And the players around him, because he depends, as we know, strikers, on getting the chances. And no better man than taking the chances when he gets them. So he's getting plenty of chances now and knocking in the goals left, right and centre.
Yeah,
which is great for the team all round, Damon. I mean, they've been excellent, really, really excellent.
Yeah, and of course they're warm favourites now to win the Champions League. One other player that deserves mention perhaps is Serge Gnabry. He was at Arsenal when Liam was there, actually. Didn't really get his opportunity at Arsenal. He punished Spurs. He scored 2 goals, I think, in that 7-2 win. He's a very good player as well.
Yeah. Oh, there were a lot of good players, Eamon. But the work rate is what's lifted them since this guy's come in. You know, this enthusiasm, whatever we call it. It's just there's a spark about them now that they didn't have before. Yeah. And it's brilliant for them.
Now, John, one thing you did notice, because we were talking during the game, was the high line. They're playing a very high line. They did concede 2 goals in the game, but that's deadly, and you'd have a worry about that. But everyone seems to be playing a high line now, John, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it happens in football, and things become fashionable. It doesn't make it right. And I think what they were doing, obviously they're so good at pressing the ball. But if a team does happen to get through the midfield, as we saw, Barcelona could score 2, maybe 1 or 2 more in doing what they were doing. But obviously they overwhelmed Barcelona in the second half, so Barcelona didn't have a chance to take advantage of the high line. I don't know if anybody else can, Eamon, because they're pressing the ball so well. But I think it's something that's not needed. But however, I mean that's what they do. Yeah, I think it can be dangerous. But I mean, people would say to me and maybe to you, listen, they won A2. What are you on about? You know. Yeah. But it was a fact. But you know, I don't think they're going to give teams many chances to take advantage of them.
No, unbelievably, I'm just talking about Barcelona, John. One, I won't name the person involved. One headline in an Irish newspaper this morning goes, "Messi is the problem for Barca." I don't mention any names, but the same person is a big Manchester City and Pep Guardiola fan as well. But we'll come to him. He must be
mad. He doesn't know much about football, and whoever it is talking that type of stuff.
I mean, Messi is 33. He's been perhaps, and certainly arguably, the greatest footballer there's ever been. And his record in goal scoring and assists and all the rest of it, prove that. However, it is an age.
But just to finish on that, put him in the German team. Put him in Bayern's team and see how much he's finished.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't. It's a deeper theory to do with statistics and that, but we needn't go into it.
Okay.
There is a question though about Busquets, Piqué. Jordi Alba, they've been around together a long time, and there is, I think Suarez also, who's been a wonderful player. There is a genuine look of weariness about them, isn't there? The tempo, they can't play at the high tempo that they could in their prime, so they do need a new team. But there's no reason at all why Lionel Messi shouldn't be in it.
But I mean, you talk like that. I mean, the new guy, Mr. Hansi Flick, he's rejuvenated Germany. I mean, you get a manager in, you never know, Eamon.
Yeah.
You know, you get somebody in, and I'd say Messi is fed up.
Yeah, he's threatened
with the coach and that. You know, and it shows on the pitch. But you get a guy in who's good, appeals to you get another year or 2 out of them. You'd get more out of them than we saw the other day. That's for sure. Yeah. Where they looked totally demoralised. You know.
Yeah, there's problems at the club. The president has discredited himself, and there are all kinds of problems off the field. Yeah. But I think nothing will ever dim what Barcelona brought to world football over the last 15 years. Now, they have been off the boil for quite some time. Yeah. And the Real Madrid team we saw play so badly against Manchester City last week actually won the Spanish League. That gives you an idea how poor Barcelona are at the moment. But let's move on to another game that we watched, an interesting game. Atalanta, who've done really well, an Italian side not many people had heard of, and PSG. Atalanta and were on top for most of the game. They went ahead, and PSG had to work hard to win it in injury time. What did you make?
They looked dead and buried, Eamon, to be quite honest. They brought Mbappe on at half-time, who made a big difference for them in the second half. And for the first time, I seen Neymar living up to his reputation, Eamon.
Yes.
Actually, in that match, he was very, very good. He played more sort of centre and midfield. Well, in centre anyway. Where we've seen him before playing on the left side, he missed a couple of chances, but there were chances he made himself with brilliant dribbles and that. And he came to life and was influential in the last few minutes when they did score the 2 goals. So he was very, very good, and I think he'd be a danger to anybody. But Mbappe made a big difference, Eamon. You know, when he came on, there's a bit of life about him. He was involved in the goals.
Yes.
I'm amazed he didn't start. I don't know what sort of an injury
he has. An injury, John. Yeah, he's a muscle injury, and he hasn't played. He hasn't played for weeks. He hasn't even been on the bench for weeks. So I think clearly it was desperation. They had to give him, and we don't know whether he'll be fit to play in the semi-final against Leipzig, which is tomorrow. But he's such a fantastic player, Mbappe. He is the next big thing, John. The next Ronaldo, the next Messi. He'll be up there, but he would need to get out of the French league. Now, having said that, there's 2 French teams in the semi-final of the Champions League, and I've been telling you all year the French league isn't very good, and it isn't. There isn't a depth there. But PSG, with Neymar, they're not capable, really. They wouldn't be capable of taking on Bayern. They're not capable of winning, are they, John?
I wouldn't think so, Eamon.
No.
I wouldn't think so. I mean, who knows? Football is mad at times, and if Mbappe is playing, it can be a match winner, and Neymar did what he did the other day. You never know. But I wouldn't back them with bad money.
No.
Against Bayern Munich. No way.
Okay,
now... I wouldn't back anybody with bad money against Bayern Munich at the moment, Damon, what's left in it, you know?
Yeah, now the other quarter-final game that we should talk about was Leipzig, who 7 years ago didn't exist and have had a meteoric rise in the Bundesliga. They played Atletico Madrid. I would have made Atletico Madrid hot favourites, given their pedigree in Champions League football over the last 7 or 8 years. They've had a great pedigree. Got to 2 finals. Very unlucky not to win one of them. And this Leipzig team, we saw them come to London. They also beat Spurs, I think, in the Champions League. They gave Atletico a very tough game, and people like Costa didn't show. They're really top players they have at Atletico didn't really show. And Leipzig were impressive.
Leipzig were very good. I mean, they did what they had to do. But I think Atletico Madrid might be in a similar situation as Barcelona, Eamon.
Yeah.
It could well be. The manager's been there. They've been a great manager. He's been there a long time. And it does happen.
Yeah.
You know, they didn't play with the same enthusiasm and drive that we've seen and have been exactly what Atletico do. You know, getting stuck in, defending well. They were terrible, Eamon.
Yeah.
There's no life about them. They weren't the Atletico Madrid that we've seen in previous years. And it does happen. But there's no doubt that Leipzig took advantage of it and well deserved to win the match. Well deserved.
Yeah, and we should say Atletico, not just of years ago, of months ago, when they knocked Liverpool out over 2 legs. Admittedly, Adrian, the Liverpool goalkeeper, played a part in that. Now, the question I have for you is, Leipzig have to play PSG, John. Are they capable, do you think, of beating them?
I think they're capable of doing it. They're capable of doing it. I would make PSG favourites on it because especially if Mbappe plays. If Mbappe doesn't play, I think they're in with a better shout.
Yes.
But I think PSG have a bit more about them, Eamon, in terms of attacking in an attacking sense.
Right.
I wouldn't be putting a lot of money on them. That's for sure. Because Leipzig have been very good, they've been very well organised. But I think if Paris Saint-Germain play as well as they can, and Neymar does his stuff, and Mbappe plays, I know there's a good few ifs there, I would fancy them.
Okay.
But be tight enough.
Right. Now, the big surprise to many people was Manchester City's loss to Lyon.
Yeah.
And they were beaten 3-1 in the end. This is many times now, the last 3 times with Manchester City, that Pep Guardiola has been knocked out at the quarterfinal stage of the Champions League. It was the same story, more or less, when he was at Bayern Munich. It's 2012, I think, 2011, 2012, since he last won the Champions League with, of course, with Barcelona. I thought they were bad, John.
Well, they were worse than that, Eamon.
Yeah.
They were terrible. I was amazed. I was amazed at the team he picked. I'm not trying to be wise after the event.
No, you said it to me before the match kicked off, yeah.
Unbelievable, Eamon. I mean, he had Fernandinho in midfield, Rodri, Gundogan in midfield.
Yeah.
And on the bench, he had Bernard Silva, David Silva, Mahrez, Fulton.
Yeah.
These are 4 midfield players that could do something.
Yeah.
I mean, the players that they had on the pitch, Rodri is now Gundogan. How he puts him on the pitch, I don't know. I don't know what he does, Eamon.
No.
He never passes the ball forward. He never gets a tackle in.
No.
Never scores a goal. Goes from A to B. So they actually played the very same way as they did against Arsenal.
Yes.
Eamon,
yeah.
in the semi-final of the Cup, where you got those players in midfield. They got a lot of possession of the ball, and the opposition, a lot of people behind the ball, and not one of them can make a pass to break them down.
No, they're very ordinary.
They're passing around A to B, across the pitch, never ever threatened the goal. Never will with those midfield players. Yeah. I was amazed at how he picked those 3 to play in the middle of the field and leave the players, the good, really inventive players on the side. So, they got what they deserved in the match, Eamon, there's no doubt.
Yeah.
They were terrible.
Yeah, they were.
Terrible.
And one of the things that, never have been convinced by the Pep Guardiola cult, as I call it, but one of the things was the way he set his back 3 up. He had left wing back Cancelo, who's a right-footed player. He had Laporte and Garcia, who's really only a kid. Laporte should have been in the middle of that. So he did get tactically confused and a mess. And when you look right through the team that started the other night, and even taking into account David Silva, who was on the bench, Bernardo Silva, as you say, was on the bench. David Silva's leaving. But at their best, 2 of their key players who weren't present the other night to play, Aguero is injured, and David Silva. When City were mesmerising as they were in the year that they won the Premier League, with a record number of points, David Silva and Aguero were central to that, to those performances. And as you point out, the midfield the other night was pretty ordinary by any standards.
Yeah, they were terrible. They have gone, City. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But what I just made out a list of players. If you look at the team that he had winning a couple of years ago, you had Company in the team. You had Fernandinho at his best.
Yeah.
David Silva at his best.
Yes.
Aguero at his best. These are all gone.
Yeah.
So it's very difficult to replace them. But I think he could have done a better job with putting the players in. There wasn't a midfield player between them, Fernandinho, Rodri, Gundogan, that could do anything in the creative sense. And you still had David Silva could still do it. Bernard Silva could do it. Mahrez could do it a bit better.
Yes.
So I think he made it a total mess of it. But apart from the other day, they're in trouble.
Yes, they're
in trouble. They're in trouble. I don't know if they're going to get the players out in the summer, if the players are there to do it straight away. But I think, like Barcelona, City have gone, as we know them. Now, what he's going to do next, whether he's going to stay or not, we don't know. Get the players in. But it's a rebuilding job. I think he's sort of starting from scratch now.
Yeah, and they have to be careful. They've just escaped a financial fair play penalty of 2 years out of the Champions League on appeal. So every penny they spend will have to be accounted for. There is a question, John, about Barcelona and, about Guardiola, rather, that's always been in my mind. I've expressed it, of course, very often, and it's not popular, but I want to put it to you. I don't think Pep Guardiola considers defence enough. I don't think he really cares too much about it. I think he's blind to the need to defend. And even when Barcelona were such a great side, he had Puyol at the back, who was a great leader, but he wasn't really a great defender. It's always been based on the brilliance of their attacking play, their passing and their movement, which is great. But never, even when he came to England first, he paid 50 million for John Stones, which was a record in England or in anywhere for a defender. And Stones wasn't really a very good defender, but he persevered with him. Does he really neglect the defensive side of the game more than he ought to?
Well, I think there should be more. Definitely. He doesn't prioritise. That's for sure.
That's right.
The defensive side of the game, right?
Yeah.
But what he does do, with whether it would be Aguero or any of the forwards, I don't know, and I can't see inside his head, but I think what he thinks is, if I get Aguero, these great players, these forwards, putting the other team under pressure.
Yeah.
The way they can do, and have done.
Yes, they have, and
right?
Done it brilliantly.
Then we
for
don't need to defend or put as much emphasis on defending as other people do.
Yes.
Right?
But
that's what I think. That's what I think is in his head. Now, you'd have to say, I don't agree with that approach, but it's been very, very successful in what he's done, Eamon.
Well, let me just make this point.
There's no one way. There's no one way of playing football. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like you said, well, they're a defensive team, these are an attacking team, and all the great teams have had a balance to it.
Yes.
There's never been a balance to City. He's had good players at the back. Company was a great player for him at the back. I think that's the big thing, what's happened to him over the last couple of seasons. Company's gone, Eamon.
Yes.
They don't have a defender to replace him.
No. They don't have a leader.
And all the other players are gone. I mean, David Silva's gone. Like, the team itself is gone. And there's a rebuilding job there. But I'm getting away from his approach to the game. It's never appealed to you.
Well, I'll tell you why.
I can understand that.
I'll tell you why. I think you can go to Watford, Burnley, even to Old Trafford in their pomp and pass them to death and win your games. But I do think when and this is to explain his problems in the Champions League, when you get to the Champions League, you're going to run up against Lewandowski, the top forwards. And then you're going to have to. There's going to be periods in the game where you won't be able to dominate possession and where you're going to have to defend. And I think that's why he's always fallen at the Champions League hurdle, quarterfinal.
Yeah, well, I don't see the Champions League in the way that you see it as a test for the top teams. I mean, look at the Champions League this season and the teams we've got in the semi-final. If you look at Liverpool last season, Liverpool won it last season. They're knocked out at home this season, but they go on and win the league.
Yeah.
I don't see the Champions League as the be-all and end-all of a test of a manager, to be quite honest.
Well, no, that's fair enough. Well, it's fair enough, except if the manager has been given as much money as he asked for, which in Pep Guardiola's case at City, he has been. And the point I'm making about the Champions League is you can't get away without top-class defenders. And he's never really seemed to worry about top-class defenders. Look at Otamendi, for example.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, if you look at the teams at the moment going in the final, they don't have such top-class defenders. They don't have the same philosophy as he had in what he's doing. When he had company there and one or two other players, they were really top-class defenders. But his emphasis is not on that. And I understand what you said. I don't believe in it. I think that there should be a balance to what you're doing.
Yeah.
But there's all different ideas about football all the time. I mean, he's brought his own ideas to it.
Yes.
And in many ways, it's been a terrific thing for the game. If you go back to the old days, I mean, when you had people like Taylor. And you had before the back pass was brought in and bashing it up the field.
Yeah, no, he plays a bit pure.
Those days are not that long ago, where it was absolutely dreadful.
Yes,
to watch.
Okay, well,
that wasn't right either, But,
okay, we'll see what they do. I don't think they'll sign the check, John, and I think the Pep project is in crisis. But
But definitely, there's no doubt about that. And the team that he had, I mean, I mentioned 4 players, Company, Aguero, David Silva, Fernandinho, are gone.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
they're gone. Now, like any manager, he has to replace them.
Yeah.
Now, where are you going to get the players? Where are you going? They might not have the money. They might not have the resources. Now, they might be allowed to do it. So, City have a big job. The team that we've seen in the past is gone.
Yes.
Yeah, Barcelona have gone.
Yep.
Right, it happens.
Yeah.
So, but it's going to be very difficult for them now to catch Liverpool. Maybe Manchester United, but I wouldn't be too sure about Manchester United. Maybe Chelsea come into it if they have the resources to do it. But I think City will fall away.
Yeah, and it's just worth making one final point about Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. He's done precisely what Mancini did and Pellegrini before him. Manages Manchester City, he's won the league.
I think he did better than them.
Yeah, but
he did better than them. I mean, he's won the league twice and he's won the cup 2 or 3 times. And in the domestic thing, he's done extremely well. I know he doesn't appeal to you. I think I like him because of the attacking way that he plays, rather than the very defensive way the teams play in a certain way. There's a balance to it, and I know that. I mean, there's a balance to it, and that balance is not there. But I'd rather have him doing what he did than extra defensive managers doing what they try to do.
Okay, now, John, the big story of the last 24 hours, Manchester United, they were favourites to beat Sevilla in the semi-final of the Europa League, and they were beaten last night. I must say that on chances that they created, particularly in the first 15 minutes of the second half, they should have won comfortably. But Sevilla toughed it out. And in the end, a fella called De Jong, who used to play for Newcastle. It's amazing.
He never scored for them, Eamon.
No, I know. No, but it's amazing. These sort of journeymen. I mean, Lyon really were a team of journeymen, to beat City. And it's, you could say, much the same about Sevilla. They had Navas at right back, who used to play right wing for Manchester City. They are really players you'd give away or you'd buy for nothing. But they were courageous and game, and they stuck to their guns and eked out a winner in the end. What did you make of United?
Well, as you said, they had chances in the second half, particularly to finish the game off, and didn't do so. Yeah. And then they fell for the old 3-card trick of maybe not concentrating on defence. I think they thought Seville wouldn't score and paid the price for that. I think up front, Eamon, they don't. Well, maybe like Greenwood is a young.
He's 18.
He's 18, but Rashford, is not doing it.
No.
Martial is not doing it. I just put down a couple of names when they were at the best. Andy Cole, Dwight York, Wayne Rooney, Teddy Cunningham. They had goal scorers that you could say, well, they're going to score X amount of goals a season. Yeah. I'm still not sure about Rashford, Eamon.
Yeah, he's had a bad finish to the season. My own opinion, he's top class player, but he needs to play down the middle. But since he was in the headlines for good reasons, socially and commendable, but he hasn't played very well. And he was doing tricks last night at the wrong time.
I thought he was coming on. He hasn't come on the way I expected him to come on.
Yeah.
Martial, I wouldn't be sure about at all.
No,
he's not. I think Greenwood is a good lad. He's very young. I think he's a good lad. So they're certainly missing that.
Yes.
Type of situation where you need, when you're on top, like your fellas to score goals on a regular basis. I don't think they've really done that.
Now, to be fair to them, they've been in 3 semi-finals and they were unbeaten for months.
Yes.
And he has, improved them, and they've qualified by finishing 3rd in the Premier League. They've qualified for the Champions League, and one player in particular has been a success, I think, Bruno Fernandes. They bought him from Portugal, and he's a leader. I think he's a very good footballer, John, isn't he? He'll score a lot of goals, a confident lad, and he got involved with Lindelof when United conceded the winner. But I think you rate him as well, don't you?
he's very good, Eamon. I think Solskjaer depends on him a lot. He seems to, anyway, on the field, off the field. It's not a good sign when you're getting involved with somebody on the pitch, anyway. I mean, sometimes some lads to take on too much authority. But anyway, I think that's down to the manager to leave it till you get in the dressing room and let him have a go at whoever's responsible for the thing. But anyway, it does happen on the pitch, as we know. I think he's a very, very good player, Eamon. He is a really good player. He's not a Paul Scholes. He's not a midfield player as such.
Yeah.
He's a good. He'll always score goals. I think he's a good kicker of the ball. He score goals, and he'll make a lot of goals.
Yes.
But I think in a situation like they were in yesterday, if you get a top class midfield player, when United hadn't scored the goals that they should have done,
yes,
to make sure you're not going to give one away.
Yes.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I am. I do, and a figure comes to mind straight away: Paul Pogba, who cost 100 million. And that's the kind of game it was last night. You were crying out for a €100 million player to take that game by the scruff of the neck when United needed it in the second half, when Sevilla were really tired to kill them.
Yeah. But Pogba's never going to do that, Eamon. You know, and Fernandes is not going to do it either.
No.
Fernandes is a terrific player at what he does. He's a midfield player who scores goals, or the goal-scoring player coming from midfield. And he's very, very good at it. But he's not going to control the game for you. Pogba doesn't try to control the game. I don't think he's able to control games. Actually, he played quite well, and he did a lot of good things last night when they were on top. But at the time when they started to come into it, he went missing again. I don't think he sees it. But he is what he is. But Fernandes, I think, is more about him. But I don't think he's that general type, the general in the middle of the field.
No, he's not. He's not a playmaker at all.
No,
but he's a very good player.
He's making of goals, Eamon, in terms of he put a good pass. He's always in front of the ball.
Yeah.
In midfield, he's very seldom in the middle of the field. So he's dependent on other people to do it. But he's exceptionally good at what he does, and he will get goals.
Now the row between Lindelof and Fernandes concerned De Jong's winning goal, and the real I watched it again this morning, just to be sure. There was one white shirt in the box, De Jong. There were 4 black shirts. Manchester United were playing in black last night to defend that situation. He got the cross was in. It went past Maguire. It went past Lindelof, and Wan-Bissaka, who should have been on the cover, wasn't on the cover. So I'd partly blame Lindelof. But it's your view I really want. And I'd blame Wan-Bissaka for not getting on the cover and allowing De Jong to drift in and score a tap-in.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the mentality stuff comes into it. I mean, United should have been well in front. And what happens, in my opinion, when the defenders have to defend, they think that they in their head, we've been so much on top, there's no way this team is going to score. So now you get lazy, not just one person lazy. Actually, I think Williams allowed the cross to come in when he could have done better on it. Lindelof, Maguire got to the near post. Lindelof got missing as well. And I would probably blame Wan-Bissaka more than anybody else, I mean, because when you're a full back, you're supposed to be what they call on the cover. Yeah. On the cover means that you're covering for mistakes that the 2 centre-halves have made. Yes. Now, Maguire made a mistake, Lindelof made a mistake, and Bissaka, when the ball was in the air, actually ran out to the penalty spot.
He did, yeah.
He went missing. Yeah. And I think in their heads, and I've seen it happen to players and teams that have done it, where you think, there's no way this team is going to score. Do you know what I mean, Eamon?
Yeah.
We've been so much on top. We don't have to defend like we normally do. They're not even conscious of it. And Bissaka he's a young fella, Wan-Bissaka, made a big mistake. He should have been covering the 2 centre-backs. That's what the cover back is for. Yeah. And while the ball was in the air, actually he finished up at the centre, the penalty spot.
Yeah.
When the lad was heading it in the back of the net.
Yeah.
So it was bad defending all around. But I'd say that was a mentality that there's no way this team is going to score. We've been on top for so long. It's not going to happen.
Yes.
And that's when it does happen.
Okay, John. Thanks very much for that reflection, or those reflections on fantastic week's football. There's another week to come, John. I take it you agree with me that Bayern Munich should win the Champions League this year. Would you agree?
Yeah, I can't see anybody beating them, Eamon. If they come out, and I've no doubt they will come out with the same mentality as they've come out in the previous matches. I think that's what the managers brought that to them now, and I would be amazed if they don't win it.
And the other story, just before you go, that's emerging overnight is that Lionel Messi has threatened to leave Barcelona. Lionel Messi's contract allows him to leave for nothing, John. Would you take the risk that he wouldn't become a problem for you if you were managing one of the Premier League sides?
I would snap him up tomorrow, Eamon.
Okay. It's great to talk to you, John. That's John Giles, one of our great players. One of our listeners, John, watched a replay of the 1963 FA Cup final between Manchester United and Leicester, which I was, he wrote a very nice email saying that he thought you were brilliant on the day, and that you were better than Lionel Messi.
I was okay on the day, Eamon, but I'd forget about the second part. Actually, it was apart from the Charity Shield. Then was strange. I think I spoke to you about it before. That was my last match for Manchester United.
Yes, I know it was. Yeah, you went off to Leeds after that, and Leeds,
Matt got me out.
Yeah, Leeds are back in the Premier League, and we're going to talk to you about that soon, because there's a lot of Leeds fans around this city strutting around, very happy people. Yeah. Indeed, because there's a generation that became Leeds United fans because you were playing for them. So we're very grateful to you, John, for joining us this morning.
No bother, Eamon.
And if Lionel Messi becomes too much of a problem for Barcelona, we might send him to Leeds.
I'll tell you what, Eamon, if he was, why wouldn't Man United go for him?
No, absolutely. Anybody wants.
What would he like among all those young fellas, you know?
Yeah, he'd be brilliant. Okay, It's a dream. Yeah.